Hi Aquarians, Aquarius Sun, Aquarius Ascendant, Aquarius Moon. That is like really targeting you. So guys, if you just want a tarot card, it is going to be somewhere around minute 10. Take and give and take, right? But I decided to merge astrology with tarot because there's like so much happening astrologically, right? So this particular month, there's a healthy emphasis on pleasure, creative self-expression, romance, and entertainment. So we Aquarians will be motivated to express ourselves in very unique ways, and we might be paying more attention to personal hobbies or even recreational entertainment. It's going to be, I need to start with the first step. I need to do this. I want to do this. Whatever this is. Learning to play an instrument. So it might be like big world, very, very overwhelming. But you're going to say, you know what? I'm going to find it on YouTube, one tutorial, and I'm going to learn only that, and it's going to worth it because I feel I have expanded into something else, right? Even though Venus is retrograde until the 25th, it's not always kind of like straightforward. We are going to still kind of like learn about some talents that maybe have been latent for us. So as the month advances, work and practical matters will assume more importance. So Mercury retrograde is going to be in our work and health sector. It's going to be from the 18th forward, and we might need to backtrack and review what needs special attention or editing of our life of some sort. It might feel as if things are stalling or even maybe going backward. But this is like what's happening with refinements, because that's what's going to be really important to do during this cycle, right? So creatively speaking, you can fill with ideas and plans for realizing a dream. I have a dream kind of a month, right? So Mars continues its transit of your resources sector until 27th. Yay! So yeah, we might want to spend some more time and energy working hard and stabilizing our life. Maybe we are losing zest about things that are important to us, and we're asking why. It's not that we kind of like don't really like what we do, but it's kind of like, hey, you know, like, I mean, what else I can do? Like, it's kind of like that creative energy that we have. We always want to reinvent. We always want to be shapeshifter, right? Which is very, very important. So Mars is the one that is kind of like beating the drum, like the energizer bunny. So it's really, really important to kind of like address this, right? So we will be really focusing on building our resources and how to push them forward and what can we do to kind of like go in that energy. So Venus is retrograde on 25th, so that's also going to push us into, hey, you know what, just do what you truly love and truly enjoy, because that way you're going to build appreciation of yourself, and it's going to be much easier to seek people and projects and pastimes that truly fit you, right? So that means reevaluating like relationships in our life or critical areas of our life. But it's going to be quite a bit of focus on creativity and hobbies and romance and friendships. So whatever is kind of like a good, genuine fit, right? Which also means that sometimes you're going to look back and maybe we are going to reconnect with an old love or old friend, or simply something about the past is going to go, ta-da! That aha moment is going to click, right? So you'll be especially focused on harmony that must be in a relationship. If you feel that something is struggling, or you always trying to find a way to say something and that you're like turning into the serpentine, like, right, it's always like you're trying to do it, it's just like so freaking tiring, like you're kind of like pulled in the knots, right? But it might not be until later this month or even in July when we're going to start feeling that things are moving forward. But this is a groundwork, so just keep doing it, right? Because this is a good time for looking at everything right now, because questioning current attachments is useful process, because it's either serving to strengthen our commitments or is alerting us to say, hey, this is stale, this needs some kind of changing. Today on the 5th, it's a lunar eclipse, and lunar eclipse brings on a new theme in our life. It's kind of like it's right on cue with the North Node, which kind of like recently moved into our section of joy, romance, and creativity. So we will be seeking our friendships and connections and happiness goals in a completely new way. It's almost like waking up and that we woke up almost like everything looks the same, but everybody is reacting differently. So we kind of like have this need for kindred spirits and more involvement with friends. It's like, if you really think, and I don't know if you're on this planet this long, what happened 30 years ago, that's kind of like the place where it kind of like felt later. It felt easier. That's kind of like where we are going. So getting our income and bearings, our security and stability sorted seems really critical to all of this, but also impatience can spoil things if we succumb to it. So it's kind of like something to watch. Eclipses generally have their way of turning our attention to areas of our life that are usually dysfunctional or unsatisfactory, right? So for us, that goes to our limitations, which or ambitions, right? So when we feel that there is like this ceiling or glass ceiling, or if we are kind of stuck in the walls, we are going to try to kind of like break it, right? So it's really important to have balanced attention to practical matters. So whenever we feel overly competitive or frustrated, that's going to kind of like force us to make important changes or important improvements. As far as it goes, June in general sense is really not ideal for pushing forward, because it's going to be kind of like one of those frustrating slow months, right? But it's still really good because it has some opportunities and benefits, right? So those benefits come from hidden places or hidden resources that you never knew you had. So somebody or something is going to just open the doors and increase an income down the road. You'll be actually really surprised, mark my words. You can feel motivated to improve your current circumstances, to improve your sense of security, and to improve, of course, money and resources. Now the sun is switching signs on the 20th, and that enters our work and health sector, and the next day solar eclipse occurs right in the same area of our solar chart. So the eclipse, this particular eclipse can prompt a new beginning, or also the final decision related to work, health, or some kind of habit. It is about self-care, right? So it is time for breathing new life into old routines. It's just like something that is stale, something that's got dusty, something that has like too much of yin has to get yin. So if this means that you are going to still feeling a little bit heavy to start, I really suggest you start with small things, such as really dusting your things. And you can just take the fine brush, one of those art brushes that you get in the store, and go and pick up dust on your furniture with that. Never nook and cranny, because that removing this dust is actually bringing this new energy, and bringing a little bit of energy is going to bring more, so you're going to get this ball rolling, right? So Mars is entering on the 27th for extended stay. So that's kind of like 2 years of stay, and that's going to be big motivation. It's going to be for us very busy and very communicative time. So that's going to be that motivation to connect and to learn and to pursue our mental interest, right? So impatience can be a problem, but that's always the problem with us. I mean, it takes one to know one. So in the last few days of June, our energy reserves are really strong, and we kind of like really need to kind of focus on some kind of concentration, right? So when we kind of like really get to that point, and it's the end of the month, it's going to be really interesting, because we are going to find solution to something that seemed to be complicated or unsolvable. So let's see what tarot is adding to all of this for us Aquarians. So on the bottom we have Seven of Fire. I love this card. This card means, look, I got here with lots of struggle. I got here and I'm not letting you have it. So even though there are lots of naysayers, there are lots of people who want to push in a different direction, who want to kind of like deflect us, who kind of like want to give us different kind of like say, we are higher up. We are keeping our victory. We are keeping that fierceness. So bare your teeth if you have to, right? Then what we have here is a Nine of Fire. Really look at this interestingly. Fire and fire, fire. It was hiding two of fire. Let's see which one was the first major. First major. I love to see what is hiding behind that. Holy moly. Oh my gosh, it's the World. So we are heading, like, it's a little bit still bundle of things to do and ups and downs, but we are heading toward, ta-da, everything. The World is, it is karma card. It's also the most positive card. You have completed the journey. You want something else, or you just want a vacation kind of a thing, right, in terms of doing things. Because this was like on the bottom, and here we have the council of elders, kind of like council of friends, feeling kind of like together. But it's still about going to the next step. It's still about maybe issues are not fully resolved, but it is like kind of like finale. And we see that World card is also finale. It's a grand finale. This is kind of like the end of the part, and this is the end of the play kind of a thing. So in this particular thing, we are kind of like dedicating direction where we go forward and why. But we are also very, very diligent about it, and we don't really want to drag something forever. So it's kind of like we are putting a very clear decision to how far certain things will go and how much further we really want to go with them. And we have a demon cat. It's upright, which is like not the greatest. Demon cat, or the devil, is pointing out to codependence, is pointing out I don't know why. Generally I would say there's like issue that we need to deal with, and this still might be the case. Maybe we're just going to get involved with some old vices, drinking, smoking, drugs, being too intense, being a doormat of some sort, somebody else pulling the strings of being a marionette. But I'm also feeling that we have people in our lives who are codependent and who are, it's kind of weird, they always show this narcissist. They always, I mean, when they teach you about codependency, that's the bad guy who's taking advantage and sapping the energy of the other one. But that's a symbiotic relationship, because both of them need each other. This one needs this food to kind of like suck the life out of this other person. And sure, when we are on this like receiving end, it doesn't feel right, and we don't like that when they leave us like a shell. But there was like something in for us as well, because this is saying we can say no and we can say stop at any point. So that's, I think it could be whenever karma card shows, it could be like one of the challenges that we need to overcome. Maybe something is going to be so alluring, so nice, we need to say, yeah, you know, that looks great, and I may have done it when I was younger, but thank you for the opportunity. Ace of Earth reverse means that something is uprooted, something is not grounding. It is my favorite ace about long term. So there is like not long term planning here, there's like something very short term, and short term kind of like vision, because that's actually good for us, because we are really looking into smaller chunks. Because when we give ourselves this like long-term thing, because we are fixed signs, we like the stability, we like that long-term, it's also very overwhelming, because we are the 11th sign, as 11 number that is pulling us together. We put kind of like big attitudes and big directions. So this is kind of like take it slow. Let's not put dinner for 4 million people. Let's just go with 5. 10 kind of a thing, and if you need excuse, social distance is always good. Interesting enough, 6 of sky and 7 of fire. So in the 6 of fire we see a winner. In the 6 of sky, technically this is a winner. It's somebody who is saying this is a complete nonsense, because look, they're all engaging in this fight, and here is like still sort of a fight, even though somebody has a huge advantage. But this dude over here also has advantages, saying like, look, I'm so pissed off, I'm so freaking tired of this, you stay there, I'm leaving, don't follow me kind of a thing, right? So I am seeing something here. So I have a 2 6s, and again, it could be somebody from the past, somebody who maybe removed some kind of stability from our life, or some issue that we had to deal with that now it's almost like almost is done. I don't really think it's going to be done entirely in June, but it looks like June, July will have lots of things to do. And then we have see Tom above, which talks about some kind of flirting nature. It talks about somebody just putting that breath in us, somebody validating us. One thing is really interesting about Aquarians, that we never wait for others to validate us. We really don't need somebody to love us in order for us to feel quote-unquote complete, because most Aquarians think that as a complete nonsense. But I really think this month could be a little bit different. That it could be someone who just innocently is going to come and do something that's going to make us think, wow, you know, I've forgotten this feeling. And that feels nice, feels right. So immediately, wow, look at that. Remember how I said about this council was sitting here, and this is seconds later. Something exploded and somebody has to run. Somebody has to figure out what, you know, they can do for themselves. So each to its own kind of a thing, right? And that's something immediately, something is happening that you're realizing. And honestly, it goes back to that we always put others ahead of us. We always want to be that friend. And yeah, sure, people take it, but they don't return the favor. And this is the card that warns us about it. It's not necessarily saying be selfish and just care about you and nobody else, but it's really saying when push comes to shove, you will be on your own. So how much investment are you willing to give in this work, in this relationship and whatnot? Because you'll not be able to squeeze it out. You're not going to be able to take it with you. So there is another 6. So we have a 6, 6, and 6. Like 15 is 6, 1 and 5 is 6. So 3 6s. It's not Devil's card, even though we have the Demon Cat. It's actually Karmic Soulmate. So 6 of C is that Mercury retrograde is going to be very prominent from the 18th on. Generally, Mercury retrograde affects us, but it affects us not so much in terms of emotions and thinking about past relationships. With us Aquarians, is more like about technology, because we rule electricity. So car issues, I'm talking about it today and yesterday. I had to kind of like repair my car because I'm always affected. Even to me, the pre-Mercury retrograde and post, it actually affects me more. For most people, it's just these 3 weeks. For me, ta-da, it's 9 weeks. So this is one of those things about dreaming about someone, so that someone might be coming through and somebody might be reigniting some kind of like old passions. Be very careful, because something that has happened in the past is going to happen exactly the same way. So that's maybe why the Demon Cat is saying is going to be which part you did not understand the first time around, kind of a thing. The environment, consequences. So it is another karma card. Well, another karma card, right? It was the world, and now we have consequences. And this is an environment, which means the person is coming into our life, or event is coming in our life, which technically brings people with it. So the difference is the person that comes in our life is somebody we know. An event could be just unknown people are sent to us, I don't know, taxes or something like that, right? For example, which kind of like bring this like snowballing effect to something, and one thing leads to another, and we are kind of like opening different segments of our life and looking into them. Hopes and fears. We have 2 of Earth, so it's kind of going to be this juggling and balancing thing, and that's the problem. It's going to be a little bit slow. Somebody's going to try to find their answers and try to find the truth. The balls are going to drop. Life might be, I would not say difficult, but it's going to look like, again, we are going to have cause and benefit. We're going to be balancing these things to see if they matter, if that makes sense, if they still kind of please us, if still kind of like is pushing us in a direction we really want to go. Because 2 of Earth, to me, it could mean third party. It could mean that maybe we are dealing with a third party, because this could be that somebody's going to say, hey, you know what? I got divorced. The truth is, that might not gotten divorced, or they have maybe got divorced, but the problem was them and not the fact that they have been married. So that's why this card is possibly showing up in a combination. But guess what? We are going to put that analytical hat in the very end. You're going to say everything is a training, everything is like a one big life experience, and I need to really learn things about me. It's really interesting. We started at 7 and we're coming into 8. There is, remember, like, you're getting to this world. We are still 2 steps away or 1 step away from sort of saying I'm almost done, and then I just need to pack my stuff and clean it so that way I can declare the work is done properly, right? So here it is about realization that no amount of issues and problems other people bring to us is going to rattle us. Well, maybe a little bit, but not to the extent that people did it to us. Not to the ultimately, so that means we are trusting ourselves. We are not anymore little sissies. We are not anymore somebody who drag us down. And then sure enough, it might be some kind of lure, but this lure is not going to be 7 or 8 years somebody pulling our nose into like an abyss. This is going to be okay, like it was really nice sleeping with you and I wish you all the best, but I have irons to do, kind of a thing. It's going to be realization that certain things cannot go anywhere, so hence is not falling into that kind of like codependency as well that I see otherwise. So that would mean lesson resolved, right? And communication. The key is communication. The key is to also understand what can be doable, what can be workable, what can be made into something, and what cannot be made into something. I also feel there will be some kind of like secrets that might be revealed this month that might make us pause. But that secrets that are revealed are going to also make us understand that something in the past we dealt with properly. Even though it was painful, it was like sort of that karmic thing we needed to crack open in order for us to move in a new direction, which didn't feel right at the time, but we are getting a full understanding why this happened, and almost like, okay, this is the last test. Are you passing this? If you pass it, it's going to be the world card. So it's still going to be a few moments going down, tears and looking back, that freaking Mercury retrograde, I wish and this and that, and why not me, why can't I choose happy? But then you're going to realize, what the heck is wrong with me? Let's slap myself, and I'm not the victim. In fact, I am going to grab this like I'm in bull by its horns, and I'm going to live this life. Life is too short and I really need to go forward. So my dear Aquarians, please check out the readings that I offer. This is something you can do during pandemic. Would love to hear from you. Would love to see your comments. If you got any messages over here that resonated with you, that's because they're supposed to. And not everything is supposed to resonate. This is a general reading. You need to get your private reading for everything to resonate. So give me a call or contact me at cattarot.ca. You know that I love you. I wish you a wonderful month, and until the next time, enjoy the ride.